Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's myself, Ryan 118. Good evening to y'all. Nice to see you. I'm here live for today's match preview video rather than the normal format we'd normally do all these things in. I'm joined on my right hand side of the screen there by one Ryan McGinley. Ryan, it's nice to have you on, mate. I sat down, I've already said to you, of course, I don't need to explain myself to you twice, but for the people who are watching at home, we went out today, we filmed the podcast, we got it all done, the TSF podcast. Got home, edited the podcast, sat down, finished it. It's currently rendering, and I thought to myself, I really don't want to make a video normally. I really can't be bothered editing once again. I make it sound like I'm hard done by Ryan. I sit in a chair and I edit YouTube videos, but
Poor YouTuber.
Poor YouTuber, but I just could not be bothered. And I thought, do you know what? I've got no sponsorships to shout out. I've got nothing to hold me back. I may as well see if I can get the big dog on himself, and here he is, Ryan McGinley, for today's match preview against Motherwell. You must be excited to be back in the match preview series, Ryan, son.
Yeah, I'm used to doing match reviews as well, so it's good that I'm doing the match previews. It gives you a wee bit of insight before the game and then after the game. My life revolves around Celtic at the moment. In fact, it always has for the past 10 or so years. So I can't complain too much. I'm just excited that Celtic are back playing domestic football, and hopefully with another away win on the cards.
It's always good doing a preview and a review, because when you do the review, you can take up a good 10 minutes of your time by going, oh, I did say this. Oh, I said that. Oh, I didn't say that. But, you can just recall what you said and relate it back to that video. So it's always handy in that term of things. But yeah, you make a really good point, Ryan. We're back. Celtic are back. Club football is back all around the country after the international break. And thank Christ for that, because for the channel, it's been a tough time coming up with content. It's been...
Hunger Game. Squid Game.
The Squid Game, the annual Squid Game was good. But, it's been tough. And it's been tough not having Celtic. I just, that's the best thing in life, isn't it? Having Celtic playing and being able to go to the games, watch the games. Sadly, none of us will be in attendance tomorrow. I've seen someone ask in the chat. It's quite difficult to get those away tickets, of course. But talking about the away venue, Ryan, Fir Park, it's a place that isn't the nicest to go. Motherwell have had a really good start to the season, a better start to the season than Celtic. All the makings of a tough game tomorrow, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. But at the same time, we've been pretty good at Fir Park recently. We had the 4-1 win last season, and the season before we get was it 3-4-0? And back in February, 2 seasons ago, before COVID happened, obviously. But it is going to be a tough game. They're a really informed side. I know they get beat off of Hearts in their last game, but that was a tough game to navigate, so I wouldn't read too much into that. They always up their game when either a Celtic or Rangers come to their ground. They always like coming up against us, and I expect no different tomorrow. They're a good team. Alexander's got them playing some good football, especially when you consider that they have to make a new team basically every season with the amount of players that go out. It'll be a really difficult game, but I mean, if we play our best game, then we should win the game, hopefully.
It's just one of those games, and it's obviously I posed the question to you, as difficult as we can say it is, and we always go, it's a tricky place to go to. It's these kind of games, and I know there's never a divine right to say Celtic should and will win every single game, but it is on paper a game that you look at the quality between both teams and go, right, Celtic need to and should be winning this game. That's the annoying thing, of course, this season, that we haven't quite been like that. We've struggled both home and away. Dundee United came to Parkhead, they took points. We've dropped points to Hearts, for example, who just came out of the Championship last season. It hasn't been straight sailing, but that last game, Ryan, the win against Aberdeen, it was what we needed. We needed something to turn that corner. Ange Postecoglou, we trust him, we want him to do well. You can see after the game how much it meant to him, the celebrations with the fans, the importance of that win. That's what I'm hoping turns a corner for us. I'm hoping that game spurs us on. Now, I know you can say maybe that the international break fell at sort of a poor time, because that holds you back for 2 weeks on the back of that momentum, but I believe that that's now allowed us to have this kind of 2-week period to get ourselves together, try and get players fitter, look at what went well in that game and take it into these games, because Pittodrie is a tougher place to go to than Fir Park, and we won there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's the turning point, Ryan. I think that could really be the game that gets Ange's his fortunes turning a little bit.
I've called it the galvanizer. I think the game was the galvanizer. It was for Ronnie Dyla as well in his first season. It was the one that really got the sort of wheels in motion for his sort of style of play. And the late winner, obviously, it was Van Dijk at that point. It was Jota this time. So I'm hoping that it really does help us go forward as a team and kickstart our season again. I know we had a good start to the season, but the wheels fell off a bit over the past month or so. So it was good to get that sort of late winner that will put us on the right track. It will be a difficult game. Motherwell are a good side, but I'm just hoping that we're in a better place than we were even a couple of weeks ago, I would say, even when we did play against Aberdeen, because we've got loads of players that are coming back from injury. Yes, a lot of them won't be involved tomorrow, but you see guys like Julian and Juranovic are back in Forest. I mean, that's brilliant for the squad. And we're a completely different team when Kyogo and McGregor are in the team. So I'm quite confident for tomorrow. Like, I don't know what that's based on, guys coming back, that last game that we won, but I'm confident that we'll get
It's just a feeling,
tomorrow.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You get it down in your gut. You have a feeling about some games, and some games you have a bad feeling about as well. So it's just natural at times.
I just think if we turn up and play the way we know we can play, and it is a good surface now in Fir Park. It wasn't always the case. It used to be a sandpit at Fir Park. Now it's a really, really good footballing pitch. I'm pretty confident going into this game tomorrow.
Shout out to David Hunt on the chat, by the way. I can see him cutting about. He'll be around the area, I imagine, tomorrow, the Hamilton lad. But yeah, you brought up earlier, and I thought it was quite interesting. You brought up the game last season about how we done well 4-1 at Fir Park. If I remember correctly, and I may be wrong here, I think that might have been the game right before the international break, and this is the first game coming back from the international break. Now, I might be wrong.
It was just coming off of a European game. Remember, we get beat against.
That's right. Aye, and I'm sure it was the last game before an international break, and we kind of pulled that result out of nowhere. I didn't expect us to score 4 that day, but it was one of those performances, and we touched on this in the podcast earlier, Ryan, which that'll be out tonight. You know, we might not go there and have the best performance, but we still have the capability to score goals and having a sort of average to decent performance. And I think that as long as we walk away with the 3 points, I won't be overly concerned with how we play. Now, of course, I want to see all the positives of a Celtic side, and a Celtic side that's progressing. I'm not saying that I want us to go there and play badly. That wouldn't be great. But with the way Motherwell have been playing this season, and even when you look at their form, Motherwell's last 6 games, they've won 4 of their last 6. They've only lost 1. Of the last 6 Premiership games. That's a fantastic record. Yeah. So it's not going to be easy. If we can go there tomorrow and get 2 or 3 goals while performing at a decent enough level, I'll take that. I'm not looking for the galvanising 6-goal football that we've seen against Dundee. And I'll take it. I'm not going to say no to it, but I'm certainly not expecting it, Ryan.
No, me neither. Mostly due to the fact that I think that we'll concede goals as well tomorrow.
That's normal, isn't it?
I mean, and that's part and parcel of Ange's style of play. Everyone was saying it in Japan and saying it in Australia. You're going to concede goals, but you're going to score goals. It is a bit of a roller coaster, but it's never dull watching this Celtic team. That's for sure. No, I just think we've got the firepower back in the team. We've also got firepower on the bench coming into the team. You've seen Ange talking about Yakimakis today, saying that he's put in another couple of good weeks training, so he should be on the bench at least to make an impact off the bench, which would be really good. But I think we're coming into a good place. Obviously, the 3 points is necessary tomorrow to sort of kickstart the season even more so. But I think we're in a good place, and hopefully a good performance tomorrow will put us in an even better place.
I don't want to bring it up. I might bring it up at the end because I suppose there is a conversation for the naysayers and the people that are the doubters at the moment. I think that Aaron Smith just loves these questions, doesn't he? Thank you for the £2 donation. Christ almighty, he's obsessed. We'll come back to it. But thank you for the £2. I don't want to bring it up yet. We'll maybe come to it at the end. But there will be a question of what happens if Celtic don't get the 3 points tomorrow. We will start to hear the critics. We will start to feel the doubts. And maybe some of that will come from ourselves. But I think that, that is a conversation we might need to have. We'll need to wait and see, I suppose. I want to just remain positive just now.
Yep,
talk about positive. Let's talk positive. Tomorrow, we're coming into a game with no injuries off the back of that international break. Of course, we still think Juranovic will still be out. Julien's back in training, but still out. I think Forrest as well will still be out. But apart from that, there's no new injuries, Ryan. Kyogo's went away, played for Japan, done his job, came back fit. Callum McGregor went away, came back fit. Everybody else, Beaton, if you want him involved as well, went away, came back fit. We've got a side that isn't going into this game tomorrow less often than what we had against Aberdeen. And that's massive, Ryan. The fact that we've got those players for selection. And this is a massive game for Kyogo because this is really, I think that his first game back to full sharpness, full fitness since returning from injury. He played against Leverkusen, had to go off early. Against Aberdeen, he got the goal, but you can tell he still had a bit to go. And now he's been and played in a couple of international games. this is going to be, I think, Celtic's first version of him back to his best, maybe.
Yeah, and that's very exciting as well, because I don't think it's controversial to say that he's probably our best player. And you stack everyone against each other. He is the difference maker. He is the player that's a level above, you could say. It's good that he's had that sort of staggered game time for Japan as well. He's not been playing 90 minutes in both games, which is absolutely brilliant. It means that he's coming back. He won't be too tired, but he won't be too leggy either, which is good, or rusty rather. That really suits us, and I'm glad that Japan have sort of watched these minutes rather than throwing him right back into the firing zone. But I'm really looking forward to seeing him tomorrow. I hope we see another really good performance from him, because he was good against Aberdeen, wee glimpses. But I fully fit. I mean, we're going to use the example again. I fully fit Kyogo is a different monster in this league, and we've seen it already. And that's something to really look forward to tomorrow. And I'm also looking forward to seeing Kyogo, Jota, and Abada up front to the fat three. It's the second iteration of the Three Amigos, and I can't wait to see that grow.
You stole the words right out of my mouth, because my next thing was going to be, it's also going to be exciting to see those three playing together.
I'm excited too. That's what I'm really excited for, to see those guys play.
And it's massive, because Jota's grabbing everyone's attention at the moment. Abada's still in the minds of everyone, and Furuhashi coming back. It is really, in terms of the front three, just an exciting time. Like, there's so much to be optimistic about when those three play together. Despite the mixed form that we've seen, those three are providing us with entertainment still, Ryan, and that's making the watching, through tough times, a bit better, and knowing that we've got three. I mean, these are guys, Kyogo, who's going to be here for a while, I think. You've got Jota and Abada, who are both very young guys. It's just such a promising front three at Celtic.
And the good thing is, if one of them's not performing, then the other one can get them out of hole, because the three of them are capable of scoring. And Jota's already got 2 goals in, was it 3-4 games? Abada's got 7 or 8 already, and Kyogo's obviously, he speaks for himself with the amount of goals he's got already. It's good that the three of them complement each other in terms of their attacking styles, and I just want to see that grow and them to get more fluid with each other, the way they move, the way they run into the box, the way they're available for passes. I'm looking forward to seeing that grow, and hopefully we see loads and loads more goals over the coming weeks, because this is a really important time. We've got
Really, this is us now. We're sort of on the straight and narrow now as well. There's no more interruptions until the winter break. We don't have any other international break now. So this is... Oh, do we?
In November.
Ah, shite. That's right. So we fucking do. You've ruined my night there. You've ruined my night. You're live on camera.
You can't have me going away thinking there's the international football away till January, February time.
I thought it was going to March, mate.
But at the same time,
that's ruined my night.
Got to be spoken.
Why in my mind did I think that we played those in March, those games? God.
We play the playoffs in March, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. Well, on that note, though, it is a very important time of the season now, because we've got games now that build up to that eventual derby coming up in December, and we need to get on a good run of form till then. And it all starts with tomorrow. You don't want to have to delay a game. You don't want to have to go, okay, well, we'll do it at Parkhead next time. No, we want to do it now, and we want to get it started now. It's very big. There's a lot of players in this team where we need to get things done, and we need to get big performances out of them, and we'll come on to that right now, because we're going to go on and talk about our starting 11, and we'll kind of give a very brief rundown on the players that we're picking and what we expect to see. If you are in the chat, thank you very much for joining in right now. And thank you to everybody who's watching, all 110 of you at this moment in time. It will be up if you've missed it. That's great for a Friday, because everybody should be out steaming. Sadly, I'm not this evening. But thank you if you are watching. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit subscribe as well if you haven't already. It's the big red button below. Absolutely free. New podcast out Sunday. There'll be a TSF up tonight. But let's get into our starting 11 prediction for tomorrow, Ryan. Now, I don't think there's a lot of big questions over certain areas, and that certainly starts with Joe Hart in goals. I don't expect there to be any difference. Just keeps giving this the same sort of energy right from the back.
That's so refreshing as well, that we don't have that question mark that we did last season. We didn't know what goalkeeper was going to play.
That should never be the case with a goalkeeper. You should never be going, well, it might be Hazard, it might be Barker, but actually, it might be Bain. You don't want that. I thought you were going to say Barker, and I was a bit of throw pause, mate.
Throw pause.
Look at this straight face. You think
I know,
I'm
I can
joking?
see it, mate. I can see it.
But Joe Hart, yes. Juranovic isn't quite back yet, Ryan. So I'm guessing for a back four. Are you expecting the same as me? You expected to see Ralston? Are you expected to see, forgot his name, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, and Montgomery once again as a back four?
Between Montgomery or Bowley, I wouldn't mind
do
Bowley.
you think you'd bring Bowley back in? Because I'm still in this dilemma. I'm still in this situation where he came in against Livingston and hasn't been involved since, and he wasn't even that bad against Livingston. I thought he was one of the better players in a really bad game. So if he couldn't get back in involved after that, I just don't see why he would be randomly thrown in now. I don't know what's happening there.
The only thing is that he's not been away on international duty over the past 2 weeks because he's never going to get a game for Belgium, unfortunately, for him. So he could have maybe put in 2 weeks of good training that's prompted Ange to give him another chance at left back. It probably will be Montgomery, but I mean, there's pros and cons. You probably wouldn't take Montgomery out of the starting lineup after getting the winning assist for Jota. You probably want to keep his confidence, and he's been playing as well. He's been playing for the under-21s, I think.
The only thing is that obviously Montgomery had a very poor 89 minutes outside that assist against Aberdeen. I thought it was very, very poor.
But at the same time, I know he had that bad 89 minutes, but he still came up with trumps when it mattered.
Yep, I suppose he did, and that's the thing. I think you have got to reward the confidence of the player. Sometimes you've got to reward the optimistic side of the game rather than going, well, let's halt you now, let's hold you back. When there is a prime opportunity to play the boy. Scales as well being brought up in the chat there by a lot of people bringing up Scales maybe to come in the team, but I'm not quite sure of that situation yet.
Ange said that he wasn't ready for the first team yet, so
well, there you go.
Team in until maybe another couple of months, I think, or maybe if there's like a lesser game at home that you could maybe get a run at.
The only sort of thing I can think is maybe early Scottish Cup with the January game when the first came back from the winter break. If that's the case, to be honest, if he's not ready for the first team, I don't see why he'd be thrown in anytime soon when we're talking about a very important phase of the season, as we were just mentioning. So, it is difficult. So is the back four we're going for? Are you going for Monty, Starfelt, Cameron Vickers and Ralston?
Yes, and I'll just quickly say that Starfelt is improving at Celtic.
Yes, he is.
A lot of people
are being blinded by the kind of opening that he had at Celtic, I think.
It's almost a sort of bias that they want Stephen Welsh back in the starting lineup, and you see what happened when he was put in the starting lineup against Livingston. He get bodied by Andrew Shinnie. So, no, I think we've still got to persevere with Starfelt until he makes a horrendous mistake. But he's not even been that bad the past couple of games at all.
Midfield, this is where the conversation I think opens up a bit more and people might agree and disagree with each other. For as much as I slag him and for as much as I'd say I hate him and this, that and the next thing, I would keep Beaton in the starting 11 this weekend, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There. I want us to completely kill off the Rogic and Turnbull playing in the same team. I want it gone, never to be spoken of again. They're two luxury players and they will not give you any defensive performance. I know Beaton's not great on the turn, he's not fast, but at least he'll put in a tackle. And he's got that killer pass as well. I was actually watching highlights of every Beaton goal and assist in his career, the amount of long balls that he got into Griffiths and the likes. He really, until he was converted into a centre-half, he was actually quite a good midfielder for Celtic, and people forget this. Ideally, I wouldn't want him in the team because he let us down at the start of the season against Michelin, but at the same time, he's probably the best option we've got in terms of that CDM role. I would much rather him than McCarthy, I'll be honest. I'm going to be honest in saying that still pisses me off that we are in a situation where Beaton in the year 2021 is being spoke about as a guy in the starting 11. We should be better equipped than this in my eyes. But you are right in what you're saying. I think a lot of people have forgotten. I'm guilty of it as well. A lot of people are guilty of forgetting that he was a good midfielder because he's been thrown in as a defender for the last 4 or 5 years. We've not really seen him in the midfield, and that has kind of blinded the sort of player that he is.
And the one thing I would say, there's not as much of a risk. People are saying in the comments that there's a risk of playing Beaton. Yes, there's a risk of playing him when he's on the. You just froze there. There's more of a risk when he's playing at centre back because he's the last line of defence basically. Whereas you've still got the centre halves behind him, even if Beaton was to miss a tackle.
I still think he's a fucking turnip, to be fair, an absolute turnip. But I get what you're saying.
It's weird. It's weird to see him have the captain's armband for Israel in that too. Even seeing him not play for Celtic in person was really weird at Hampden on Saturday, I've got to say.
Had a very decent game against Moldova, I believe, in their second game in the international break. He was quite highly rated in that. But it is what it is. We're going to have McGregor in there, of course, and it's great to have him back. We don't need to dive into that too much. Who are you starting, Rogic or Turnbull? I'm going Turnbull personally.
Yeah, me too, because Rogic has been on a 24-hour plane journey. And also Turnbull might have a point to prove against his former team. He might have that fire in his belly to go out and show that he's a better player than when he played for them.
Did he score on any occasion against Motherwell last season? I can't remember. I can't remember. Nah.
So many. There were so many games that felt similar because we didn't have any fans of that.
Because it was Neil Lennon.
There was that point that I just really didn't care about last season at one point. Yep. So they all still feel the same to me. I will look back on them in the same sort of mood. I
see the great Lewis Laird in the chat. Finally great to meet Lewis for the first time during the week, putting a real person to the man himself. He's a bit frustrated I just didn't get what with skills during the break, went away with Ireland and didn't make a match day squad. That's right, I forgot he got the call up to the national team, didn't he, for the international break. So
they really are going all in, aren't they, with playing the youths?
Yeah, they really are. And I think they need to, because I think Ireland are currently in our lifetime at a point where the Irish national team, and there's my camera a wee bit, I think in our lifetime they are at a point where I think the Irish national team has probably been at its absolute worst, so they may as well probably try and focus on the future. They are in a really, really bad way just now, the national team over in Ireland, I'd say. I don't want to offend anybody who's an Ireland fan, but did they manage to get to?
It's Azerbaijan and then Qatar.
It's just it's not the same as like 2016 mind when they were in the Euros and they had just a cracking wee team at that point, and even years gone by before that.
At that point as well, they had a lot, but they had an aging squad and they needed to sort of take the hit at one point, and I'm glad that they're doing it just now because they'll benefit from that in the long term.
And finally, the front three, we'll go on to that. There's no question. We've spoke about it. Jota, Kyogo, Abada, and that should be enough to beat the likes of Motherwell, Ryan. It really should be. It
should be. The big word there is should. But
I know that is the key word. That is the key word.
It's it doesn't always work out that way, and we've seen it already this season and last season, to be fair. We can't take any games for granted. We've got to go into the game eager to win and eager to put in a performance as well, and hopefully we get the 3 points.
And that is what I am going to predict for my score prediction, Ryan. I'm not going to say a Celtic win. I'm going to stick with what I said in the TSF podcast for continuity when it comes out this evening. Celtic 3, Motherwell 1 is my prediction, Ryan. What about yourself?
I think mine was the same, actually, so I'm going to go for that as well. I might have said 3-0, but
you said 3-0 originally, then you changed it to 3-1, I remember.
I remembered about our defence. I 3-1.
It's a good TSF this week. We have a right good laugh talking about what our walkout songs would be, talking about Scotland, laughing at friends of David's family who are no longer with us. You know, it was a real good laugh today's podcast.
More cutaway jokes than a Family Guy episode, honestly.
It was, I mean, I was about to actually start singing Conway Twitty. Like, I was this away, probably. But let's talk about two more things very, very quickly to wrap this up, because we're already at 25 minutes, and everybody pour your predictions into the chat, and I'll throw some up on screen. A couple of things we want to talk about. Has anyone ever asked me for an autograph? Funnily enough, I've actually autographed a Fredo for someone before. No word of a lie. A Fredo.
I seen a video last night. Who was it that was who signed a microwave last night? There was somebody that signed a microwave.
No idea. Not a skib.
Have I imagined that in my dream?
I don't know. Maybe you've dreamed it, mate. Maybe you've dreamed it. But let's talk about very quickly. Somebody brought it up. Callum Campbell said, "Do you want to see?" And I love how they're not even bothering with the name. Do you want to see the Greek boy get a half hour tomorrow? We've got to get. You all right there, mate? You all right?
I'm away. It's Yakimakis. It's not the Greek boy.
Yes, that's like your Piers Morgan moment in this show.
I know. That's.
Oh, there you go. There's Lewis telling you. It was Eubank.
It was Chris Eubank.
Eubank. Aye. But yeah, let's talk about Giakoumakis for a moment. Do we want to see him involved tomorrow, Ryan? Should he be involved tomorrow? Ange was giving him a good write-up.
Yeah, it seems as if Ange's really sort of warmed him in terms of his training the last couple of weeks, which is great. He was a big part in getting Giakoumakis into the team. I don't know if maybe it's because of the Greek connection with the two, or he's seen something that he can work with and work on. But it'll be great to have another option off the bench, a sort of different option than Kyogo. As much as I don't like Kyogo going out on the left-hand side, he was quite effective there against Aberdeen because we got the winning goal. Because they swap positions. It'll be good to have a different sort of a plan B. We've needed a plan B in terms of a big powerhouse to go up front. So maybe give him the last 20, 15 minutes.
And finally, before we go off the air tonight, Ryan, Christopher Jullien is back in training. Still a few weeks away from match readiness, if you like, but he is back. And that is just wonderful to see and hear, isn't it? Just seeing him back in training, because we've missed him so much.
And it's better that we don't have to play Livingston away from home again this season, because then he would be having nightmares like he did a couple of seasons ago. To be fair, that was against national hero Lyndon Dykes, I can't really blame him. But it's great to have Jullien back. It's like having another captain in the team when Julien's back, because he's such a vocal character in the back. And I think he'll improve whatever centre-half plays next to him, whether that be Starfelt or
Cameron Carter-Vickers.
Or Welsh. It's good that we'll have more depth in the centre-back position as well. He's one of our star players. He's a threat from corners. He's good at heading the ball. He's got a long-range pass. I just hope the same player comes back. It's always a worry with these long-term injuries that maybe he's lost a yard of pace. I mean, he wasn't fast to begin with, so I'm hoping that the Jullien we all know and love comes back, and is there for a title charge.
Yep, exactly. And that's it then. That's us for tonight, for the preview show. I'll be back tomorrow for 3 things we've learned after the Celtic game. I keep forgetting it's a 3 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. I'm half expecting to wake up and turn on the telly and it's the 12:30 or the 12 o'clock kickoff. Yeah. But of course Sky have obviously knocked us all back this weekend. So yeah, we don't have any football and we're going to have to source it through other means, which
is a bit frustrating. Motherwell pay-per-view. I mean, to be fair to them, they're only charging £12 for this game. Livingston charged 20 on a shitey pitch. So, you know, I really dislike Livingston. I don't care. I hope they go down. Nice. Everything they do just annoys me. So I just hope they go down.
Right, lads, thanks very much for tuning in. If you have been watching, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. For me and Ryan McGinley, that's us, and we'll